Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
We are ready for the event.
Comcast Sportsnet, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
They're talking to Station, this is Comcast Sportsnet. How do you hear me?
We hear you loud and clear. Welcome on board the International Space Station.
Oh, wow, those are some great shirts. We are ready to speak. Are you guys ready to speak with us? We are ready to speak with you.
We're ready.
We're ready.
All right, guys, thanks very much for joining us. This is Chick Hernandez from Bethesda, Maryland. You guys way above me. Can you tell us what part of the Earth right now you're above?
We are right over Australia, where it's in the very middle of the night. We're in the outback of Western Australia right now, with the southern lights just off to the side of the space station.
It's incredible. Terry, listen, you arrived at the International Space Station in December and will remain there until next month. Scott, you arrived last month and we'll be up there for a year. How do you both mentally prepare for such a long trip?
Well, I'll tell you, one of the things that helps is knowing that you're going to be here. As long as you know the amount of time you're going to be here, much like our military folks that deploy overseas, that really helps. And it just gets you in the mind that you have an end date, you know how long the trip's going to be. I'll let Scott answer that because for a year, that's obviously a big part of his flight.
Yeah, and for me, one of the good things was I was here previously for almost 6 months, so I know what it's like to live here, what I need to make myself more comfortable, what I need to do to manage my fatigue level over the long term. So, that's, I think, been a big part of what will make this a easier experience for me than, it otherwise would be if I was living up here for the first time.
I just can't tell you, by the way, how this looks. It's incredible to talk to you guys with the floating microphone. So often, my partner, I feel, is floating in his own mind, in Brian Mitchell, but this is a far different case here. Considering how far we've come technologically speaking, there's so many ways you can communicate, not with just your families, but also people who are interested in what you're doing. What is your favorite method of keeping in touch with those of us down here on terra firma? Oh, he's going upside down now.
Yeah, the social media opportunities that we have today are pretty amazing, and it really helps us reach out and helps people stay connected with NASA and what we're doing in space. I know as a kid I would love to have had Twitter or Instagram where you could see what astronauts are doing, but Scott and I both do Twitter and Instagram, and it's a really important part of what we do. It's a chance for us to share this adventure that we're in and send down some amazing pictures of the Earth and space, and also just the daily science and other activities that we're doing here in space. So that's what Twitter and Instagram are very important for us.
Scott, you'll be in space for a year. There'll be research done on you about the effects of being in space for that long. But your twin Mark is also part of this process, as he will serve as sort of your baseline down here on the Earth. Will they do the same test on him as they do on you to compare the results?
So we do a lot of science on board the space station, over 400 different experiments, and there's a lot of science dedicated to this one-year mission that has Misha Kornienko and myself as the subjects, and a subset of that is with my brother and this twin study. A lot of that is genetic-based research, how the space environment, whether it's the microgravity or radiation, the stress that you may have experience up here, how that affects us on a genetic basis. And to answer your question, yes, my brother does participate in some of those data, the data collection for that, which is mostly human samples, blood, urine, and other things. But also there's data collection in the form of CAT scans and MRIs that he does as well, coming to Houston to get those. And he also is participating in some of the cognitive studies that we do, how this extreme environment affects us on a cognitive level, our ability to perform certain tasks at a very high level. So he's a big part of this study, which is a small part of what we do here in the larger picture, the larger science picture on the International Space Station.
All right. Obviously, you guys are sports fans. I can see you sporting the jerseys there, the Astros. I'm not sure about them, by the way. But, Terry, I know you grew up in Columbia, Maryland. A big Orioles fan, obviously. How do you keep up with the team from up there?
Well, I'll let Terry answer that, but first I have to say this is Terry's Astro T-shirt that he loaned me. I'm an Astros fan, but not as much as Terry because I forgot to bring my T-shirt.
Yes, I was born and raised an Orioles fan, but I've become a transplanted, also a Houston Astros fan, having lived there for 15 years. So I used to root for the Orioles and Astros World Series, but now it's the Orioles and Astros ALCS, hopefully someday. But keeping up with the teams is interesting. The NASA is able to uplink me some games. They can record some highlights or entire games. Usually a couple times a week I'll get that. My dad sends me emails of the score, so I get updates that way. And every once in a while we get a little bit of live television so we can watch it. But it's a lot more sporadic than it is on the ground. But I try and keep up with them as best as I can. It's been a little bit rough the past few days.
No question about that. All right, so one of the coolest things you guys are doing, and Terry, certainly we see you do is tweet out photos of all the Major League Baseball cities from above and have fans guess what city they're looking at. Will you guys, and particularly you, Terry, will you try to get to a game soon after you touch back down on Earth?
Yes, that'll be probably not the first thing I'll do because it'll take a few days to get my Earth legs back. But I'll definitely be hopefully heading to a ballpark before too long. Take my son and my family out to see some baseball.
And if he throws it in the dirt on the first pitch, he'll blame it on the fact that he's been up here for so long with no gravity. I'm sure.
Aim high.
It's one of the greatest excuses of all times. We've seen athletes throw it into the dirt. Aim high. We've seen athletes throw it into the dirt badly, so you will have a natural-born excuse there. What's the downtime for you guys? And by the way, if you want to go to a game, call us here at Comcast Sportsnet. We can get you there. But what's the downtime like for you guys? Is there downtime?
That's funny. After my first flight, I remember I went back and I went out in the backyard to play some basketball with my son, and I could not get the basketball up to the rim. It was like, ugh. And the thing is, on Earth, whenever you throw something, your brain compensates because there's gravity, and so you aim high because your brain just knows that there's gravity, and you have to aim high so the ball will fall down and hit the target. In space, at first, when we throw each other tools or a piece of equipment and you try and float it, you always miss. And so here, Scott's going to demonstrate. And so that's what tends to happen when you throw something, it goes high. And then almost comes back to you. So when you get back to Earth, you have a tendency to aim low also. And so that's one of the things. It'll probably take at least a few days before I'll be able to throw a ball or whatever and actually throw it straight to the person I'm trying to throw it to.
That's okay. Some guys down on Earth having trouble throwing as well. Scott Kelly, Terry Virts, we thank you so much for spending a little time with us. We appreciate what you're doing above our Earth, and we look forward to catching up with you when you're back down here.
Thanks, guys. It's great talking to everybody on the Mid-Atlantic. We're both East Coasters, and so hello to all the folks there. It's good to see that there's not white down there anymore. For a few months, it was nothing but white, and we're looking forward to getting back and seeing some ball games and getting back home for some crabs and corn on the Eastern Shore.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the Comcast Sportsnet interview. Thank you.
Thank you, Comcast Sportsnet.
Copy.